Welcome to your yoga practice. Thank you for being here. Let's find an easy seat to drop in. Allow yourself to arrive here, so perhaps you take a little movement, rocking side to side. Letting yourself begin to settle in your seat. And as we do that, anchoring down, you might feel a lift through your spine, through your torso, up through the center of the crown of your head. And just glance down and notice if your torso might be leaning forward. A lot of us have that tendency. And then we can perhaps shift back ever so slightly. And as we lean back in space, you can imagine an invisible wall of gravity kind of supporting your back. You might feel your abdominal muscles engage here. If it feels good, you might softly close your eyes or just lower your gaze, looking down your cheeks. And allow yourself a couple of breaths to arrive. The hardest part is over. You have carved out this time and given it to yourself. You are here now. Continue breathing, and I'll share a quote. Today it comes from Pema Chodron. When we are training in the art of peace, we are not given any promises that because of our noble intentions, everything will be okay. In fact, there are no promises of fruition at all. Instead, we are encouraged to simply look deeply at joy and sorrow, at laughing and crying, at hoping and fearing, all that lives and dies. We learn that what truly heals is gratitude and tenderness. What truly heals is gratitude and tenderness. So perhaps for the next 30 minutes or so, we hold those words, ideas, or feelings of gratitude and tenderness near us, giving that to ourselves. If you'd like to chant Om, you can draw your hands together in front of your heart, giving a gentle press into the palms. You might today create a little space in the center of your hands. Inhale deeply for one long Om. Release your hands to anywhere on your legs that feels comfortable, and drop your chin towards your chest, breathing here for about 3 breaths. And when you come to an exhale, roll your left ear towards your left shoulder. Staying here for about 3 slow breaths. You might bring your right fingertips off to the mat, off to your side, walking those fingertips away. Maybe flip the palm forward to face in the direction your heart is facing. That might give you a little more sensation. And breathe. Soften where you can. As you inhale, guide your head back to neutral, chin towards chest. Return the right hand to your lap if you moved it. And exhale, roll your head to the other side. Right ear towards right shoulder. Maybe your left fingertips walk off of your leg and over to the side. Maybe the palm flips to face forward. It's giving us a little external rotation of the arm and the shoulder socket. And breathe. As you notice tension, you can invite it to release. Maybe you soften your jaw. As you come to an exhale, roll your head back to neutral and then lift your head. You're welcome to just switch the cross of your legs, or if you want a little core work, try not to use your hands. See if you can float your toes off of the ground, pass through Navasana, and exhale. Release your legs, opposite leg crossed in front. Interlace your hands behind your head. Notice if your torso is leaning forward, draw it back in space. And with the shoulders stacked over the hips, inhale, start to lift the heart. So imagine if you were a marionette, a puppet, that there was a string attached right to the center of your sternum, breastbone, and it's lifting you up. So you're arcing, lifting from the center of your heart space. Arms open out wide. Maybe you even draw the elbows back a bit more. One more breath. And on your exhale, round your spine, draw the elbows towards each other, chin towards chest, core muscles engaged, so we're supported here. Stay for a breath or two. Inhale, return to neutral, sitting tall, hands behind the head. On your exhale, tip over to your left, dropping your left elbow towards the ground, right elbow towards the sky. Maybe you even look up. Maybe looking down or keeping the head neutral feels better. Notice if your hips feel level, and if it feels like the right hip is a little uprooted, see if you can intentionally anchor it down. Noticing that that might mean we kind of shift not so deep into the pose, but that's okay. It's about how we feel it, not how it looks. On your next inhale, come through center. Exhale, tip over to the other side. As we breathe and settle in, notice if the left hip is feeling a little uprooted. See if you can anchor it back down. Maybe you're looking up or down or to the center. Feel empowered to do what feels right to you today. Our yoga practice on the mat is a great time to get in touch with how we're feeling, and then to practice respecting ourselves and doing what feels right. One more big breath. And as you exhale, core engaged, come back to neutral. Release your arms. Let's make our way into tabletop. Today, in the spirit of tenderness, you might add that blanket under your knees if you don't usually do it, just giving it a try. And hands under shoulders. Again, an option to walk your hands forward a smidge, even if you don't usually, and then notice if that helps you anchor into your fingertips and the inner lines of the hands. You can always discard these ideas. On your inhale, drop your belly, shoulder blades slide together. See about pulling your heart forwards as you look up. On your exhale, round your spine, push the ground away. Let the head hang heavy for a beat. Press the tops of the feet into the ground. Now move with your own breath. As you inhale, you might feel a stretch through your throat. As you exhale, notice where you feel it. 3 to 5 more breaths. Move in any way that feels right to you today. You can keep flexing your spine through cow and cat exactly how you are right now, if that feels good. Or we can transition into tiger, so coming through tabletop. Send the right leg long behind you, keeping the toes on the ground at first. Maybe you reach the left arm to the distance in front of you. Engage the core. Perhaps you lift the right toes off of the ground, and you can stay like this, or inhale and reach. Exhale, draw to the midline. Inhale and reach. Exhale, hugging it all in. A couple more rounds. Maybe you kick the right leg up higher. Maybe you pass through a bit of a cow pose. And then cat. Keeping the core engaged as you go. And then returning hand and knee to the ground. Flip your right hand palm towards the sky. And draw some circles with the torso. Good morning, Toby. Giving your wrist a little love. And then planting your right hand, tuck the left toes, send the left leg long. Press back through your heel. You can stay like this or reach the right fingertips to the distance. Really engage your core. Option to lift the left leg. Inhale for length. Exhale, option to hug it all in. Check in with your left hand too. If all of the weight's going into your wrist, really grip with the fingertips. Inhale, extend. Exhale, hug it in. Maybe you add a bit of a back bend, inhaling, kicking the leg a little high. Exhale, hugging it in. Keeping the core engaged as you go, another round or two. And then we'll all meet with hand and knee on the ground. Flip your left palm to the sky. You can make a soft fist. You can draw a little circle with your heart. And then return your left palm to the sky, to the ground, and send your hips back, finding child's pose, balasana. You can keep your arms overhead if that feels good. You might plant your elbows and bring your palms into prayer mudra or pet the cat. You could rest your hands back by your feet. About 3 breaths, giving yourself the sweetness of this shape. As you're ready, we'll slowly release Balasana, child's pose. You can keep working with the blanket under you if you'd like, or you can set it aside. Plant your hands, tuck your toes, and make your way to downward facing dog. As you arrive, bend your knees as generously as you like, or maybe even bend them more generously than you think you like, and just see how it feels. It might help you push the ground away and melt your heart back towards your thighs a bit more. We can also play with bringing our hands out really wide, creating more space. As you do that, you could also flip your hands just a bit so the fingertips point out to the corners of your room. So this helps us engage our latissimus dorsi, these side flanks a bit more. The eye of the elbow pointing towards the space between your thumb and index finger. It's a tricky cue. One more breath, downward facing dog. On your inhale, look forward. On your exhale, engage the core as you step your feet as slowly as you can to the top of the mat. Notice at what point you have to come to your fingertips or lift your hands, however you get there, and fold forward. On your inhale, lift halfway, long spine. Pause here, core engaged, so the back is pretty flat. Let your arms hang heavy and let them kind of free swing, just see where they go. If they fall into a sort of pattern, keep engaging the core, spine nice and long. Engage your gluteal muscles too. The American Council on Exercise suggests that we create this shape with our body every day for low back support and strength. If your arms have gone into circles, see about switching the direction. Another breath or two. And then soft knees fold forward. Your next inhale, we can rise up, reach out and up. Exhale your hands to your heart. Pause for a moment here, anchoring the base of your spine down. You could imagine taking the base of your tailbone and lifting it up towards your heart. So we're not trying to round the spine, but we're really trying to drop it and lift the front hip points, neutralizing the pelvic bowl. On your inhale, reach out and up, keeping the core engaged. Exhale, fold forward. Hands touch down. Maybe you bring your blocks with you. Step your right foot way back in space. Lower your right knee, untuck the toes. Inhale, draw your heart forward, long spine. Usually I'm cueing us to imagine we're hugging the legs together. That gives us stability in the hip flexors. But maybe today we soften a little bit more. It's been a long week. Perhaps you've been sitting a lot. Let's let that right front hip release. The left knee is over the left ankle. If you're feeling steady here, you might float your hands up to the left thigh or even bring them behind your head, elbows out wide. Maybe you lift your heart from the center again, finding a back bend. Maybe you open your arms out wide. One more big breath wherever you've gone. Exhale, release your hands back to the earth or blocks. Straighten your left leg, coming into Ardha Hanumanasana. Let's keep the left toes on the earth to start, and imagine dragging your left hip back in space. Then notice where on the left leg or foot you feel sensation. And when you're ready, point the left toes towards the sky. Keep dragging the left hip back in space so we have nice traction on the back of the leg. Long spine. Bend in your knees, walk your hands forward, back in low lunge. Plant your right hand, left hand to the thigh, look over your left shoulder. If you like, you can reach your left hand back in space or up to the sky. You could tuck your right toes and lift the right knee off of the ground too. About 3 breaths wherever you've gone with this revolved lunge. As you're ready, release your left hand back to the block. Step your right foot forward and out a bit and straighten your left leg, transitioning into pyramid pose. Shift the left hip back in space. You can always adjust your stance. You might have blocks on a higher setting now. Long spine, full breath. Thank you. I love it when Toby's generous with his love. It only happens when you all are here. You can stay exactly as you are in this pyramid shape, or plant your right hand, bring your left hand to your low back and rotate the torso open to the left. Shifting that left hip back in space. You might even put your thumb into the crease and shift it back. And maybe you reach your left hand to the sky. If you've gone into pyramid pose, then notice the pinky side edge of your right foot and the back edge of your heel. Make sure that those are still connected. One more breath, however it's going. And on your exhale, soften your left knee. Return to high lunge, shifting that right foot back in space a bit. Inhale, plant your hands, exhale, step yourself into plank pose. Big breath here. Exhale, lower your knees, lower your torso slowly. Point your toes back, and on your inhale, lift your heart just a small amount to start, Bhujangasana. From here, press the front of your pelvic bowl into the mat. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. See if you can lengthen your low back. Really engage your upper back muscles, rolling your shoulders together, back and down. Your heart might be lifting more now. You could be floating your hands off of the mat, or you can press them into the mat and lift your heart more and more, arms hugging the side body. Another slow breath. Exhale to lower down all the way. Tuck your toes, big breath in, big breath out. With no breath in the body, push the ground away through plank. Inhale. Exhale, send the hips high, our triangle shape, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You might take child's pose instead. 3 to 5 breaths. I'll be quiet so you can notice your experience. As you're ready, inhale to look forward. Exhale, step or swing the right foot to the right thumb, whatever it takes to get there. Lower your left knee to the earth, untuck the toes. Long spine here. Again, you could be squeezing the legs towards each other, giving that stability in the hips, or if your body's okay with it, you might soften, sinking the hips low, really paying attention to how the front of your left hip flexor feels. Your hands can stay where they are. Maybe they come up to the thigh as we double check that our right knee is over the right ankle. Maybe you interlace your hands and bring them behind your head, leaning your head back like it's supported in a basket. Elbows open really wide. Maybe you open your arms out wide, spread your fingers really wide. If you do, you might even wiggle them or draw circles with the wrists. Another breath or two wherever you are. And on your exhale, return your hands to the earth. Keep your left hand planted, right hand comes to the right thigh. Look over your right shoulder. You could stay like this. Maybe you reach your right hand back in space or up to the sky. Maybe you tuck your left toes and lift the left knee off of the ground. Breathe deeply wherever you go. Breathing, we'll return to face forward, right hand on the earth, left knee touches down. Straighten your right leg, sending your hips back in space. Half split, keeping the right toes on the ground to start. The right hip shifting back in space, the spine stays long. The breath stays full. And now lift the right toes to point towards the sky or maybe even back towards your face. Keep dragging the right hip back. Keep lengthening the spine as we breathe, folding over the leg any amount. Breathing, bend into your right knee, walk your hands forward, tuck your left toes, straighten the left leg, and then step it up and out a bit, transitioning into pyramid pose. Both legs straight, left toes pointed towards the top left corner of your mat. I like to use blocks here. Imagine hooking your right hip and shifting it back in space. Feel the pinky side edge of your left foot. And then notice your right foot. You might be kind of rolling towards the pinky side edge of that. For the right foot, we want to intentionally anchor into the root of the big toe. Keep breathing with your long spine. Maybe you plant your left hand and bring your right hand to your sacrum and open your torso towards the right. You could look towards the ground, straight off to the side, or up to the sky. You could reach your right fingertips to the sky if that feels good. Drawing the right hip back in space, another breath or two. Inhale. Exhale, soften the right knee as we plant both hands. Shift your left toes back in space for a beat in our high runner's lunge. Inhale. Exhale, big step forward into Uttanasana, forward fold. Bring your feet out wide here and hang really heavy. You can clasp opposite elbows, helping to add a little weight for gravity to tug our spine long. Breathe here. Sometimes I can feel like sheaths of connective tissue in my low back stretching. Hopefully you're feeling some nice sensation. You might sway a little, looking for the sweet spot. And as you're ready, sink your hips low. Release your arms. Scoot yourself back a bit, but keep the knees bent. Hook your arms under your thighs. Lengthen your spine. So you might notice this is very similar to the shape we were just in. Now we can let our heels start sliding on the mat. Depending on your mat type, this might be a smooth or a bumpy ride. Sending the legs as long as they comfortably go. We don't need to force the hamstrings here. With every inhale, we can lengthen and lift our spine a bit. With every exhale, maybe we soften. Staying here for a couple of breaths, you might bring the block onto your legs to rest your head on. And as you're ready, release your arms. Sit up tall, engage your core as you hinge back. And eventually we'll roll onto our spine. As you land, reach your arms up overhead, point your toes away from you. Big long stretch here. And if you'd like, you can banana over, lifting your torso and shifting it to the left. Coming back through center, banana shape the other way, reaching your arms up and over to the right. Coming back to center. For Shavasana today, maybe you open your arms out wide. Instead of bringing them down by your sides, you might have them come straight out or as a cactus. Let your legs relax and feet flop open. And breathe here, trusting that this time is valuable. When we are training in the art of peace, We are not given any promises that because of our noble intentions, everything will be okay. In fact, there are no promises of fruition at all. Instead, we are encouraged to simply look deeply at joy and sorrow, at laughing and crying, at hoping and fearing all that lives and dies. We learn that what truly heals is gratitude and tenderness. Deepen your breath as you're ready, knowing that you can always let this take as long as you'd like for the sake of timeliness. I'll invite us back to an easy seat if you're ready. Sitting tall, draw your hands together in front of your heart if you'd like to close with Om. Inhaling deeply. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice with Toby and I.